Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Empath Perception. Today's video, I want to share with you guys a little miracle that happened to me quite some time ago. And not only did I experience this miracle, but the really neat thing about it is a family member several years later mentioned the same miracle happening to them. It's the same miracle. It's just under a different circumstance. And it makes me think, if we're in the same family and we both shared this experience, this miracle, how many other people are out there that this happened to? I'm really curious to know. Because I feel like it's one of those things that it sounds unbelievable whenever it doesn't sound real. And it was nice that I had some validation from somebody else experience the same thing. I mean, I know I'm not crazy whenever it happened to me, and I felt like if I was going to be given this miracle, I felt like it was something that I definitely was going to share with other people. I just really was hesitant with sharing it on social media. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to share with other people. And I feel like, for sure, myself and this other family member aren't the only ones that had this experience. So again, I'm just really curious to know how many other people are out there that this happened to. I do also want to add before I start this video that my kid's father is mentioned in a lot of these experiences, and it was a very toxic relationship. And we were together for 10 years. So there was a lot of spiritual growth that I went through during that time. If there's any concern, we're not together anymore. I did get out of that toxic relationship. But I feel like that should be noted, because there were so many things. And so many things that I experienced while we were together. And I guess that's how it had to be, right? Like, can't have the best of everything and still have spiritual growth. There had to be an opportunity for growth. So I guess that's why a lot of my experiences happened during that time. But yeah, so we were together, but we were living in separate states at the time. I had moved back from Florida, and I felt very isolated. I was with my kids. It was pretty much just me and them. I did have some help from time to time, but I really did feel isolated. My friends and, the people that I wanted to spend time with and hang out with, they were a couple hours away. And even though he wasn't my first pick, as far as having somebody around, my kid's father was in Florida when I was in Texas for the first few years. And I was very isolated. I was really isolated. It was me, and my daughter was 22 months old when I had my twin sons. And so 3 very small children. I want to say that she had just turned 3, and my sons were maybe 14 months old or something. But I really needed a break. And I love water. I love Florida. I missed Florida. My sons were born in Florida. I needed to get away, and I needed to be around other people, and the water was definitely a way to feel healed and restored. It brought me so much peace to be around that beautiful, clear blue water. I really didn't care too much to be around my kid's father. I guess that was just kind of an excuse at the time. But I really wanted to get away. I needed that break. And, they were his kids too, so he could help me a little bit. So I needed that break, and I had told him, like, hey, like, I want to come, I want to come back. I want to visit for a little bit. I was thinking maybe a couple of weeks. And, we had talked about it, and I was like, I guess I'll wait, a little bit longer so I can save up, some extra money so we can actually, like, do things whenever we get there. And we agreed on that. So that weekend that we had talked about it, he told me he was going to go on an offshore fishing trip. And I was like, okay, sure, that's fine. I'm not the kind of person that is going to bother you whenever you tell me that you've got something planned. I'm not a needy person. I'm not going to blow up your phone. You tell me that you're doing something, I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to be in the way. And so I didn't bother him. I say bother him. I know now that that's not what that was. I guess it's just trauma speaking. But I guess I had given him like a day and a half before I had called. I assumed that he would be back from being offshore, and I had never been offshore before, so I didn't know like if he was going to have signal. I didn't know how long it was going to take before he got back. So I gave him some time, and I don't remember what it was, but the next day, like, I had wanted to call and talk to him, and I had something to share with him. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't important now. It wasn't important, but whatever it was, I called him. And he answered the phone, and I started to tell him, but I could tell something just was off. And I was like, well, whatever it is, I had to say. And I was like, you don't sound like you're alone. He was like, no. He was talking about how he was with some coworkers and stuff. And I was like, okay, sure. And then I hung up, and I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, he's never up at this time. And my intuition told me, check the accounts. And so I checked our accounts, I checked our cards, and I found that he had spent money in 3 different states. I'm like, what? I'm not understanding. It was several $100s in less than 24 hours. It really wasn't even 24 hours, but it was several $100s in less than a day in 3 different states. Like, how is this whenever he was out in the ocean? Like, I'm just not getting it. And he's never up that early. So it was, I guess, something else that just kind of made me question what was going on. And so I called him back, and I was like, what did you do? Like, where are you? And he said, well, there was no offshore fishing trip. I actually went on 3 of the top 10 most haunted places in the U.S. I was like, okay, that's great. So I'm trying to round up funds so that I can just have a little bit of peace and sanity. And you're traveling the country, just getting all the scares in that you, like, whatever, right? And he had already done things in our marriage by this point that were really painful and hurtful. But this was just a different kind of pain. And I think because I already felt so isolated and alone, I just couldn't process it. And I felt, of course I felt betrayed, but I just felt like there was no hope. I guess I felt like there was just no hope. I really just felt completely alone. I was already isolated, and the only person that I really felt like I could count on in that time of my life was also one of the worst people imaginable, and I already knew that he was selfish and didn't care about me. So that, says a lot to what I was going through. So the pain that I felt was a different pain that I wasn't familiar with. And I just was super emotional, and I cried for like a week straight. I mean, I sobbed. And I feel like whenever I talk about this story now, I feel like it just sounds so ridiculous, but those were my feelings in that time. And I was just that hurt. And I couldn't quit crying. I cried for like a week straight. And you know what it looks like whenever you cry. You're upset. Your face gets all puffy. You look swollen. You just look like a mess. So imagine crying for a week straight. I just couldn't pull myself out of it. I guess I was actually in a really deep depression and I didn't know. I just knew I was sad. And I was really struggling to take care of my kids because I was just so emotional. And I want to say it was the 7th day. I just thought, I can't go on like this. Like, I really thought I was crying myself to death. I thought I was gonna die from how sad I was. And I got up and I started to walk to my room, and I fell to my knees like when I got to the hallway, and I just started praying. And I said, God, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want this. I don't want this pain. It doesn't even matter to me anymore. Why me? Why are these things that keep happening to me? Like, I know that I'm a good person. I know I don't deserve these things to be happening to me. I don't even care why me anymore. I just don't want to feel it. I just don't want to feel this pain. And I cried that out in prayer for just a couple of minutes. And then I picked myself back up, and I got up, and because originally I was working my way to the bedroom to go cry in bed. And so I went to my room and I lay down on my bed and I continued to pray. And I said, God, just take this pain and bury it down deep in the earth where nobody can suffer from this. I don't wish this pain on anybody again. I don't care why me. I have 3 beautiful little children to take care of, and I can't do it if I'm like this. And I just kept praying that over and over again. And I said, like, I wouldn't even wish this on my kid's father. I know he couldn't handle it. I don't think anybody could handle that sort of grief or pain that I was experiencing. And again, I know to some people it might sound really silly on why I was so upset, but that's what I was feeling. That's what I was experiencing. And I just kept praying that and kept saying, like, I don't want anybody to suffer from this. Buried down deep, deep in the earth where nobody can dig it up, nobody can experience it, nobody can find it. I don't want it found. I don't want anybody to go through this pain. And after a few minutes, it couldn't have been more than 5 or 6 minutes. I was lifted up. I was raised up from the bed. And I think it was my whole body. I don't know if it was just my spirit, but I was up. Like, I felt my whole self, like, up, suspended over the bed for, like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds, maybe less than a minute. But I was just above myself. I was just lifted. And in that moment, I was free. I was light. I didn't feel anything anymore. Like, I was just overcome with this peace. And I felt healed, completely healed. Like, all the pain was gone. And then after just that moment, I was rested back down, and I just kind of took a moment and thought, like, wow, okay, like, this just happened. And collected myself, and the first thing I did was go and look at myself in the mirror. And like I said, I had been crying for a week straight. And when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see somebody that had been crying. I seen somebody that was healed. I seen somebody that had a clear face and was at peace. And so that was a miracle. That was a miracle in that moment. I was healed. I literally believed that I was going to cry myself to death. And I believe that why I had the miracle was because of being selfless in that moment, even though I was going through like so much pain, and I could have been angry and I could have hated my kid's father for what he did. Instead, I didn't even want him to go through it. I didn't even want it for him. I wasn't trying to get back at anybody. I just wanted to be well so that I could be there for my kids. So fast forward several years later, I ran into a family member that I hadn't talked to in, I don't know, we'll just say 5 years. And they told me that without me being too giving out too much information, because this is now their story. But they shared with me that they had left home briefly and were running down to a corner store, and that somebody was outside and had stopped them and asked them for a cigarette. And when they handed the cigarette over, the person, when they did the exchange, I guess they may have touched the family member's hand. And whenever they did that, they felt something. They had felt something happen. And they said that by the time they got home, they felt really, really ill. And then said that for the next several hours, they felt deathly ill. That they were just in and out of the bathroom, and they said that they were in so much pain, and they said that they literally believed that they were dying. They said that they knew that whatever they were experiencing came from that interaction with that person at the corner store, but and they didn't understand like what it was that they had, like what it was on what was causing them to be so sick or whatever it was. But they knew that it had happened in that interaction just a couple hours before. And so a few hours had gone by, and again, I mean, for somebody to say that they literally thought they were going to die, that they were so sick they felt like they were going to die, just like I said, I thought I was going to cry myself to death. Like, it just sounds like so silly maybe to those that aren't you, but it's got to be pretty bad for you to use those words. And the family member was telling me that they had to call somebody that's there for them, but that person really wasn't capable or in the position to do much to help physically, like as far as getting over there and stuff. Like, they just weren't in the best physical health to be able to help them. And this family member was upstairs, and the person that they needed help from really couldn't be walking upstairs. So for them to say I had to call this person, they didn't even have the strength to get downstairs to meet them so that that person could, like, be there for them. And so they told me that they had called them, and then I guess right after that moment, they ended up going and lying down. And the family member told me that when they went to lay down, that they just started praying, God, just whatever the sickness is, whatever I'm experiencing, it doesn't even matter how it happened. I just ask that you please remove it and bury it down deep in the earth where nobody will experience this. I need to get better. I have to take care of this person and that person, and they need me, and I have to be there for them. And they said that after just a few minutes, and they said, it's gonna sound crazy, but I swear I'm not crazy, this really happened. They said, I was lifted up, I was picked up, I was floating in the air. And I'm just smiling while I'm listening to this because it sounds very, very familiar. And they said, I was better. All of a sudden, I was better. I was healed. My God, I was so sick. And then all of a sudden, like, I was better, and I was in the air, I was floating, like somebody had picked me up. And then they said they put me back down, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was better. I wasn't sick anymore. They're like, I swear I'm not crazy. And I was like, oh, I believe you. I believe that you're not crazy. And this is somebody in my family. And I'm just thinking, how many people are out there that went through the same thing? And this is a miracle. It was a miracle for me. It's a miracle for them. And just wow. I think that a lot of people may be uncomfortable with sharing these sorts of stories, but I feel like if God is going to bless you and heal you and restore you, this is something that should be shared. And it's a story that when the opportunity is available, I share it all the time. I don't care if people think I'm crazy or not. It doesn't matter who it is. If I feel like it's relevant and there's that opportunity to let somebody know or hear it, I let them hear it. I share it. I think it's a really beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful experience. And I did have a lot of fear before with posting stuff on social media, but I don't care anymore. I don't care. I think that this is good for people. I think that these experiences I've always felt since I've gone through them. God knows I'm a very social person. He created me. I'm a very social person. Face to face. Face to face. I like to talk to people. I like to make people feel better. I like to share things that will make people feel better and make people feel good. And I always knew that this was something that should be shared and deserved to be shared. So, if you know anybody that had the same experience, had the same miracle, share this video with them. Or drop a comment. I want to know about it. I want to know. And I want to know exactly what was said. I want to know, did they say bury it down deep in the earth where nobody can suffer from it? Did they say I have to be here because I have to take care of this person and that person? I want to know the similarities, because I know that this didn't just happen to this family member and me. There's just no way. So let me know. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.